Greetings to the best family on YouTube. Well, as you all know, that's our opinion here at Carryorbury, at least. Our wonderful EDC family. And we thank you very much for joining us for a spooky version of Carryorbury's full review and Carryorbury game today. I'm your host, Prophet. With me, as always, is the Professor, Cuz, and our furry friend of the channel, Little Chaos. Not so little. Folks, we thank you again for joining us. We are super excited to be here today, and we have a special treat for you. What do we have on the table today? We have a very, very interesting little guy. This little guy right here is the Reate EXO-M, like Mary, right? And it is, as you can see, a gravity knife. Now, a quick little statement before we get going on here today, folks. Our little channel's growing, our EDC family is growing, and we couldn't be more proud or more happy. However, we've had some sad and difficult personal things come up in each of our lives here at the compound of late. We've been trying hard to continue to deliver you weekly content. However, the time it takes to use the items, write the script, and then get the videos recorded, we aren't really able to respond to the emails and all of the other social media apps that we would like to. We want you all to know that we are hoping that we're going to get some relief now. As they say, bad things usually travel in threes. Well, we're at 4 here at the compound, so we're hoping very much so that we won't see any more issues or tragedies. So thank you all for your patience. Please, we will be responding to your emails very shortly. Okay, with that all the way, well, let me just say this, I guess. We want to be easier for you to talk to and to share your EDC love with us. We want to be so easy to get a hold of, kind of like, I don't know, like you're grabbing a rubber ducky out of the bathtub. Wait a minute. You know what? I think Granny's rubbing off on me a little bit. All right. Let's hold off. Let's put this Reate EXO-M aside for a minute. Let's close her up and let's lock her down, right? And let's do Prophet's Pocket Check, right? It's time to show you my flipper. We've got some other stuff and some really great suggestions from you guys in the comment section. We're going to be playing with them as we go here. But what did I have on me today? The pen that I used today was a wonderful little tactile turn copper full-size bolt action old style. This particular one does have my nickname, as you can see, Prophet with my lucky number there. All right, Prophet with my lucky number there. It has a Damascus bolt here, which is super cool. Whenever you buy pens from these guys, it's fantastic because you can customize them, make them your own. There's always special editions. They write extremely well. I like having the full-size one while I'm at work because I know when it's in my pocket and it's always faithful. Can't really go wrong with this pen. The flashlight that I had today was something pretty simple. When you work in automotive, sometimes you need to throw a flashlight in your mouth and just get going. This little guy here is actually a Bass Pro Shops little copper color flashlight. It is one of the lightest little pen lights I've ever had. Honestly, I really don't know what I'd do without this little guy. You can put it on your hat, you can pop it in your pocket. Really, it just works. Thank you, Bass Pro Shops. What knife did I have today at work? This one might seem like an odd choice to you all. So this is actually the Civivi Incision, I believe it is. Actually, Incisor, I think it is. The Civivi Incisor 2, or the second version, which is a button lock, okay? Really crazy handle, Damascus bladed, wonderful little karambit. Why did I have this on me today? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. In the automotive world, you're really cutting all kinds of crazy stuff, tubing and wiring. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just get your finger in there and you can really rip through tubing or rip through whatever you want really easily. Even if it's just cutting boxes up, something like that. This little guy is super sharp. It's very, very comfortable. And we will have a full review on it soon after I get it a little bit more love in the world. Again, my pocket check today, or Prophet's pocket check, was the Button Lock Civivi Incisor 2 Karambit. Pretty cool. And we also had a pen, and we had a wonderful little flashlight. My pocket piece today was a Morgan dollar, but unfortunately I don't have that in the recording studio to show you, but you've seen my Morgans before. All right, with Prophet's pocket check out of the way and the show me your flipper, we hope you are satisfied with the pocket check. And it's time to take a slight change in pace today and talk a little bit about the knife. But first, let's talk a little bit about why we chose this knife. It's that time of year where people are going to be putting costumes on and having a great time and trick-or-treating. They call this time of year Halloween. Now, personally, I don't celebrate this holiday or recognize it as an actual holiday. However, we do appreciate a day where people can get dressed up, get together, forget the world for the day, forget the normalcy of the world or the hecticness, have a little bit of fun, annual fun, right? Regardless of the time, regardless of your personal beliefs, it's a good time to be respecting and loving each other, hanging out with each other, and spending time with each other. And what better way to do it when this particular day, Halloween, makes a fantastic EDC day? Why, you ask? Flashlights, lights, bags, pocket pieces, belts, even sharp knives, right? Sharp knives to open that stubborn candy or to cut up those caramel apples, really anything, or kind of like me where you want to cut part of the candy corn apart because you might not like one of the little pieces. I get it. That's a little bit sad, but that's life, right? So with that in mind, I again reintroduce you to the Reate EXO-M gravity knife. This particular knife was purchased online by us. I think the retailer that I used for this particular knife was E-Knives. We pre-ordered it way back in the day. And this little knife, like its Halloween time of the year love, is kind of dressed like Halloween, right? It's got some really dark colors, almost witchy. It's got that really cool olive green with black right in the middle there, that green micarta inlay. It's got that really scary double-edge blade that some non-knife people would say is scary. But to us, it's just a double-edged satin blade that's just under 3 inches. And what's that blade made of? Well, it's none other than Elmax. If you want to know more about Elmax or any other steel, please feel free to visit this channel's favorite place to learn about steels, knifesteelnerds.com. Dr. Laren Thomas, of course. And although he knows nothing of our little channel, we couldn't send you to a better place to learn about Elmax or to learn about any other knife steels. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this wonderful little double-edged satin blade, this beautiful little knife that can make its way through cutting up pumpkins or making little EDCO lanterns, which is what we call jack-o'-lanterns here at carryorbury. Now, of course, why is this knife the knife that we chose for Halloween? Well, keep in mind that we called it, right, the EXO-M. What does EXO stand for? It stands for exoskeleton, right? Skeleton, Halloween, exoskeleton. Plus, it's a scary knife to a lot of non-knife people or non-EDC people because this knife is known as a gravity knife, which means when the knife is open, you can simply let the blade fall down with gravity. We'll see if we can get a good shot of that here. As you can see, it just slides up and down. You've got this little area right here where the knife actually just slides through. You can see that right there. Pretty simple. So gravity is this knife's best friend. Hence the name, right? So what will we learn today about this naughty little knife here as we move forward in our haunted review? Okay, we're going to find out pretty shortly. But now that we've learned the name of the knife and what it means, it's time for stop. Portal time. Oh, just kidding. Now, as normal EDC family, if you don't have time to stick around, we get it, which is why our channel gives you a little escape, if you will, to get away from the details and the long video and get you right to the game that y'all came for. the carrier-bury game. Now, if you don't know how the game is played, please refer to our Rules Remix video, which is video numbered 020. For those of you who know, let's start with the portal today, right? But the portal feels a little different. It's in the air, doesn't it? It's almost pumpkin-shaped. Let's get you in the brand new Halloween special, Professor's Pumpkin Portal. Yeah, I get it. It's a bit different, but the pumpkin portal will turn back into a regular portal after midnight. Well, I guess, honestly, EDC family, if I'm still talking at midnight, you won't need a portal. You'll need a pillow. Time to flip the switch. We'll use this guy, right? Boom! Bye, everybody! Professor's Pumpkin Portal. Oh, wow. That got me a little dizzy there. Something about that pumpkin feel, though, made it feel a little bit more, I don't know, family-friendly. Either way, it is time to get our learn on. You know what time it is for those of you who stuck around. It is the Knowledge is King section. This will be great for those of you who want to learn a little bit of something as you look at a pocket knife or an EDC gear. Now, whenever we get into this part of the content, we have a little icon reminding you where we are. That way you know how long it's going to take to get to the carry or bury game. We have 3 segments before the game. This segment, Knowledge is King. Our next segment will be Professor's Particulars. And lastly, we have our comparison plate section. Then we will get into our carry or bury game, giving you all of the best. Well, I guess maybe best is a very loose word, right? Giving you our opinions on if you should pick up one of these little guys or not, right? Well, let's get into it. All right, EDC family. Here at the compound, we have quite a few Reate knives. I'm not going to lie to you. Reate is a Chinese company, but I'm going to be honest, they're one of the good ones. And they really are. And even a lot of other companies and US companies are using Reate to make or produce some of their knives because they don't have large production areas in their home garage or honestly just anywhere. You've got this area in China that has a lot of really great factories, and Reate is in that area, and they do a fantastic job. And they really do. We'll get into that a little bit later, okay? But saying that we own a lot of Reate knives, we have a bunch of their product line here on the compound and some of their EXO knives, which thankfully is expanding all the time. There are even new Reate EXO knives, which is the Reate EXO-U, okay? What does the U mean? Well, I'm not really sure, but it's a different Reate EXO knife. It's basically a box cutter, or a utility knife for those EDC family members who work in the trade fields. Now, what does that have to do with Knowledge is King Prophet? Well, I'm going to tell you. Those folks who are working in the trade fields know more than anyone that one-handed operation is sometimes necessary, right? Especially in a utility knife, which is one of the reasons why I think it's so cool that Reate now has the EXO-U. And we will be reviewing that on the channel as well shortly. Now, getting into that one-handed operation thing, right? What are we going to learn about that? Well, here's what we're going to learn about that today. We are going to take you back, okay? Not back in the pumpkin portal. We're going to take you back in time, around September 1st, 1939. But then we're not going to stop there. We're going to move that timeline until September 2nd, 1945. For those of you who are like me that need a calculator, that's 6 years and 1 day. 6 years and 1 day of what, Prophet? Of conflict, folks. 6 years and 1 day of one of the most horrific times in human history. We're talking, of course, about World War II, okay? World War II. And while we talk about war or anything, what we really want to recognize here on our channel more than anything is our fallen soldiers, our current soldiers, all of our men and women who risk their lives every day for our freedom, for our men and women who fight for our individual freedoms. We are going to give a moment of silence. Okay, thank you all for that. It's very important to us. Appreciate you bearing with us on that. But to get back to Knowledge is King, where there's war, there's also how do we win better, right? That forward thinking, that ingenuity, that, I don't know, let's open up government contracts and see who can come up with what. That type of thinking that we have, it's a shame that we can't think like that all the time. It's a shame that humanity really doesn't make these giant leaps forward, until there's conflict. But, this is a time now, today, where we can make those giant leaps thanks to good folks like G&G Hawk, Brian Winters of Winterblade, John and Eric Grimsmo. If those type of folks were around back in World War II, we'd be seeing some crazy flying cars, or, I don't know, knives that are really robot knives. Who knows what we'd be seeing? It'd be pretty darn cool. But we did get a one-handed, relatively quick opening knife, the gravity knife. These knives were made, basically, in the World War II era for paratroopers mostly. So think about this. You're parachuting into enemy territory. You've got to have a hand operating at least your parachute, right? And wouldn't it be nice that if you had a knife or an ability to, I don't know, cut things away or cut your parachute away while you're holding your rifle? That's what this was made for. So this was an idea at the time, right, to use a quick flick of the wrist. It's hard to do this under camera, folks. I'm going to try that again. Oh, yeah. I'm really... Okay, hold on. You got to open and then flick, right, Prophet? There we go. Honestly, it's a lot easier without being under the camera. I promise you that. Another way, other than the wrist flicking, is to just hold the knife, open it, hold the knife, and let the blade fall free. We're going to try to do that with camera here. There's that way. There's that way. Let's try this. Open. Open. I can already see the comments coming in about the Band-Aids, right? You guys know me. It is what it is at this time. Now, one-handed operation was needed, and it was needed quickly. It was not going to be, let's fuss with our strap trying to pull out our fixed blade knife. It was, let's grab this tiny little guy out and let's just give it a flick. Let's just let gravity take care of it. It was really a genius thing at the time. And honestly, it's a really cool way to get launched into what we have seen today with out-the-front knives, right? So to move on a little bit from that, one could obviously use gravity or that slight flick of the wrist to get the blade to come out to utilize in combat. But also, we lost track of this type of knife for a long time. We've seen a lot of other out-the-front style knives that were spring-assisted and so forth. But a lot of them had lockup issues, things like that. We won't get into that today. But Reate said, hey, we're going to bring back the gravity knife. And they made the exoskeleton gravity knife. And it was a big hit. But a lot of people were still complaining about safety. So what did they do? They added this little locking mechanism. You literally cannot open this guy once locked. So you can have it in the closed position, lock it. And now you can utilize the pocket clip here, right? And have a little bit of fun. Pretty darn cool, right? Okay. With that being said, remember, this is a gravity knife. Gravity knives are basically illegal. Please check with your local laws. Talk to someone other than a YouTuber, right, that has experience in your local laws before purchasing or carrying one of these knives. They can be dangerous. They look cool, right? But they can be dangerous. But why, Prophet, are they so illegal? It's mostly fear, right? Switchblades got a very bad reputation from movies, and they're the cause and fear of a lot of non-EDC knife people, right? The ironic thing is that most modern flipper knives are just as fast with their lightning-fast bearings and their really crazy geometry. But again, that's a discussion for another day. So I think it's time to drop this topic and let gravity take us to the next segment. Let's say goodbye to the Knowledge is King icon and welcome the Professor's Particulars. All right, folks, with all that out of the way, you'll notice that it's time for Professor's favorite part, which is all about them stats, baby. We talking about I'm going to stop there. All right, so he's a big nerd. He loves his stats. He loves his specs, and today's no different. Today, again, we have the Reate EXO knife. We talked about that. This is the EXO-M. The full overall length of this knife, okay, is going to be 7 7.5 or just under 7.5 inches, 7.48 inches. The blade length is going to come in just under 3 inches at 2.95 inches, okay? The blade thickness is 118 thousandths of an inch. Pretty slicey on this guy. The blade material can differ on the EXO-Ms. This particular EXO-M is a LMAX blade that we talked about, right? So this blade style is a dagger style with full flat grinds on both sides of the dagger. So basically that means we are sharp on both edges. It'll cut on this side, it'll cut on this side. Now dagger shaped blades aren't for everyone, hence, but they are useful and can be very, very, very fun to play with. We'll just say that. The finish on this particular LMAX blade is a satin finish, very nice. It's basically plain edge on both sides, no serrations. The handle length is 4.33 inches. It does have micarta inlays in the titanium skeletonized handle. This particular micarta is black with an olive green. Obviously, it's hard to give it this a locking type. I guess they would call it a, I don't know, titanium close lock with a actual lock, I guess. It's hard to really put that into what type of locking this is. This is a right hand tip up. I was wondering how easy it would be to convert this to a left-hand knife, but you cannot, okay? Not that I know of, at least. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. The knife type is an out the front manual. Why is it manual? Because it doesn't have springs or pistons or anything propelling the knife out, but you guessed it, gravity, okay? Now, another cool thing about this knife is although it is a China knife, Reate again does a very good job with fit and finish, with overall look, things of that nature. Pretty darn cool. And again, if you want to know anything about the LMAX, folks, you can check in the description and you will absolutely see that we have a little link to get you over to knifesteelnerds.com. Pretty cool. Well, we're getting through it. I think we got enough specifics about the knife. Let's move on. Let's get rid of the Professor's Particulars icon and let's do some comparisons. We have a little treat in here for you today, right? So obviously, I sure hope that the specs were helpful for you folks. Now, you will notice that Professor also put those up in the video, which is great. And you can now see the comparison plate. How are we going to compare a gravity knife? Well, again, this is going to be pretty cool, right? Let's first compare it with the original. This is one of the original Reate, okay, full-size EXOs. You'll notice this one does not have the pocket clip. It did come with the sheath. We do again have the micarta cutouts here. You'll notice a lot of similarities in look. Obviously, the size is a bit different, right, folks? Look-wise, you don't have that many differences. You can see that one of the big differences is this locking mechanism right here. The original Reate EXO did not have a lock. How do you use it, right? So it's got this groove here in the handle. When it's shut, it holds that piece of the blade in, or the tang of the blade. You wrap your hand around it and you can use this knife. And the lockup is actually really good, but the lockup does depend on your grip strength, okay? It's definitely something that you want to keep in mind if you buy one without the lock. But as you can see, the full-size one is a lot easier to flip open because of weight and gravity. And you can see it really is a bigger knife. And even though this one, again, does have the double edge blade on it, you can see it does have this little area here where you can actually, doesn't have jimping, but you can get your finger up if you need to. Pretty cool. So we've got the original EXO and we've got the EXO-M. One more big distinction, again, is the pocket clip, where you will see there is none on the original. Now, I've got another gravity knife right here, okay? I'm gonna first practice because when you buy this set, right, it comes with, right, the lovely little practice knife. And this one is, I'm gonna have to back up for camera here. Let me see if I can do this for you. Okay. So when you buy the EXO-K from Reate, which is the karambit gravity knife, It has a button lock. What you're supposed to do is hold the button down and not break every knife you own and flip it open. Let's try to move these a little bit here. And then you can close it down like so. I'm going to try to get that under camera here. So what you do is you hold the button down, knife is closed, locked, hold the button down, you flip, oh my goodness, you flick it open with your wrist, and then you push it in, and then you can bring your hand around and grab it. Closing it's about the same way. You bring it back, give it a little wrist flick here, right? Now it brings the blade in, and you can close it in your hand. The problem that I've had with this and several others is when you go to close this, it can get through there, as you can see. Now, with the practice one, it's not that big of a deal. But when you actually use the real thing, you can kind of see that this might be a big deal getting into your hand, right? So you got your hand in it, you're going, okay? Got it this way. Forgive me, I'm holding the crambit wrong. Prophet, what are you doing? Let's see if I don't cut my hand off on camera. Okay, got that shut, and let's give it an open. And we're open. So let's put these together. So again, we have the Reate EXO-K Gravity Karambit, the Reate EXO Gravity, and the Reate EXO-M Gravity. There's also the U, there's also a Mini, and I believe the U has a second version out now as well. And we will have all of them eventually on the channel. Now, putting Reate EXO knives away here, right? Let's get those off the table for you. I also wanted to give you an idea of another non-knife person knife in our comparisons here. Meet the Paragon Warlock. Now, the Warlock is a really interesting knife. It is also a gravity side knife. So what that means is when you push buttons on both sides, you will get a opening here in the blade, and that will swing freely, okay? And you will close it in and sandwich it in, kind of like a coffin. So this, again, is the Paragon Warlock, another very popular gravity style knife. And you can see the very large difference between the two. But we're not going to just leave it at gravity knives. We are going to look at one quick out the front style knife. I know a lot of you can see it. This is the OTF Automatic G&G Hawk Deadlock. This is the John Wick version of that knife. And I wanted to show this to you because it shows why a manual out the front may be something you would consider over an automatic. And looking at it from this view, it's hard to see, right? Obviously, you've got a little bit more handle length in the automatics because they have to house the internals. But where the difference comes in isn't the length, it's the width. It's a very big difference. Very big. Now, obviously, the G&G Hawk Deadlock is a very unique out the front knife. It's unique because you don't have the play in the blade. The lockup is perfect. Same thing you have basically with this Reate, right? You've got a really strong lockup, but it's in a much thinner form package. So it's going to be really nice for carrying it around, especially with this nifty little lock. All right. I think that is going to be enough for our comparison section here. We'll kind of lay those out for you, give you the close look of all of them. Almost forgot one, huh? All right. Okay. We hope that that was something that you can, I don't know, dig into, if you will. It is time to welcome back our EDC family. Welcome back, all of you that have taken our very own Professor's Portal. We will give you a moment to collect yourselves. I'm sure the table looks a little bit different from when you left. That's okay. We are going to start the game to see if this Reate EXO-M can slide its way into your hearts and thus your pockets, or if gravity will allow this EDC tool to fall, not just into the ground, but into this little toy coffin, 6 pretend feet under the ground, which is more like, I don't know, 8 inches or so when we bury them on the compound. So will it be needs or nails that win out in this trick-or-treating season? Let's go, EDC family. We're going to clear this out. All of you that took the portal are probably noticing some of the really nice comparison tools that we just used. Yeah, it was fun, but you know, hey, time is valuable and we get that, right? We're not going to shame you for not sticking around for the entire bit of content. We'll put all these guys away. All right. All right. Well, now that you're all back in one piece from the pumpkin portal, we're going to do a quick check-in with our lovely granny, shall we? So since there's a lot of non-EDC folk out there that are scared of this skeleton-style gravity knife, let's see if I can recall any, I don't know, safety sayings or so of old granny. Oh, you know what? I got one. Okay, she would say, "Prophet, dear, remember, an ounce of prevention will give you a pound of candy." Huh? Hey, is that my pillowcase you got there full of candy? No, I'm not an expert, but I do recall Granny saying this for some reason. You can maybe fill in the history there. Now, Granny always likes to butcher sayings, especially that good old saying from Benjamin Franklin, you know, that she completely butchered. But I digress. That there is a need sound or a pocket sound if I've ever heard one, folks. So we've got a positive. We've got a pocket. Professor is saying, hey, we got a pocket. What is the first pocket? Well, you might have guessed it doesn't look like this is going to be the first pocket just because of doing this under the camera, but action. I mean, believe it or not, I know I'm struggling under camera because I'm trying to show it to you folks, but when you use actual gravity for this thing, it just moves. The action is, it's good. It's a good action, okay? And it's not just the action. Obviously, that's part of the need. The sound. Oh, the sound this thing makes is, mwah, it's fantastic. Speaking of sounds, that there is another sound. What will our second need be? That sound will be packaging today. That's right, folks. I know this doesn't seem like something that should be a huge need when you're buying something, but you have to bring it up. Reate does a great packaging job. You get your really, really wonderful tool, and then you always get a lot of goodies in the box. I mean, you can see it's got the form cutouts, you've got extra hardware, it comes with stickers, cleaning cloths. They really do think of everything, and it's a nice little magnetic closed package. The Reate packaging is fantastic on almost every model I've purchased, and you have to give it to them. You really do, because sometimes when you're buying something, the storage, especially when you own as many knives and EDC gear that we own, it's nice to be able to store them safely and securely in a very nice package. So number 2, again, we are going with packaging. Number 3, guess what that's going to be, folks? You might have guessed it. We're going to go with fit and finish. Why are we choosing fit and finish as a need? Well, for a lot of reasons. Fit and finish is important, especially when you're dealing with inlays, right? But when you are adding a mechanism like a lock to basically a gravity out the front manual knife, you want all that fit and finish to be good. You don't want to hear rattling. Don't hear anything right there. You don't want to have accidental draw out, right? You want everything to be really nice. And I would imagine if I were to oil this one up a little bit before doing the video, it would fly out a little bit more. And maybe the oil wouldn't make that happen. But either way, the fit and finish of this knife is fantastic. The inlays look great. You got to give them a lot of credit. Presentation, and not just the box, but in the tool, is pretty cool. Oh, we're flying through these. So I'm being told that we need a 4th need. Well, we're going to call this one Option City. Why are we going to call it Option City? Unless you've been living under a rock, if you've looked at the different options you have for these Reates, I mean, I'm talking, it's not just the inlay options, folks, which there is a lot of them. You can get all from Damascus to Mokutai, you name it. There's exclusives out there. You can get a lot of different colors and really show your individuality with the way that it looks. But then the button colors can change and the titanium can change. The knife can have PVD coatings. The knife also has options. Instead of getting the dual edge dagger, you can get a single edge. You can get a tanto. Honestly, you can get a clip point. They really give you a lot of options. And then not just this EXO and all of the EXOs. So you really can be an individual. You can get it all blacked out. You can get it all blued out. There's so many different options that we have to say that that's a positive or a need. And that gets us to 4. So to recap them really quickly, remember, we're going to go with the action and the sound, the presentation and the packaging, the fit and finish. We'll say fit, finish, and fidget factor, because we got to add that third F. And the 4th one was the options, color options, blade combos, blade shapes, locking up options, the whole 9 yards. It's really, really great to have. Do you want a pocket clip or you don't? I mean, I can keep going, but we're not gonna, because that nail sound you just heard. Unfortunately, there are some things that we don't like about this knife. The number 1 nail, I'm gonna get this one out of the way because I get a lot of heat for it. Availability. To find the option that you want, these are so popular, and you got to get on the drops quickly, because if you don't, you're going to be dealing with knife pirates. I know a lot of you don't think we should include those in our nails, but to us, that's a big deal. When I'm buying a knife, I don't want to pay over retail for it because of the knife pirates. We say naughty knife pirates. I know you can dress up like a knife pirate for Halloween, and I'll definitely give you candy, but I'm not going to buy the knife at 25 times retail from you. You can bet your bottom dollar. Another thing that I really don't like about this particular model is, honestly, the ergonomics. The ergonomics are absolutely not for me. There's a lot of hot spots in this thing. I'm not a fan. Ergonomically, it is just, I mean, if you need to use a knife, it's great and it's fun to play with and it's easy to roll around with, but it's square. It's got a lot of heights everywhere on it. Honestly, the chamfering, they've done what they could, but then you've got all these spots here that come out when it's sitting. I mean, there's even some really nice jimping here because you can't really put your finger on this blade without cutting it. But man, I tell you, hot spots all over here, all over here. And which brings me to the next, there it is, the next nail sound. Although this should be a knife that everyone can use left or right-handed, we are going to say that for this particular model, at least, right, the lack of ambidextrousness is troublesome. The fact that at least I don't think you can move this pocket clip over to the other side. From what I've seen, you cannot do it, which then you've got a right hand tip down carry. You forget to lock this thing in your pocket, you know, think about your lefty and you go to take it out of your pocket. The lock is on the other side. So the lock can't be moved. The pocket clip, I don't think, can be moved. Either way, when you have an out the front knife, it should be something that is celebrating ambidextrousness, and this one is not. That, my friends, is another nail. We heard another one on Carrier Bury. Or was that the ghouls, ghosts, and gremlins? Are they taking over Carrier Bury right now? No, that's right. That wasn't a ghost or a poltergeist. It was a nail. All right. The 4th nail, we're going to just Halloween this up to the spookiness of the knife. What do you mean, Prophet? Guys, this is not a knife that you would hand to your granny. I wouldn't hand it to my granny, right? She'd end up with more Band-Aids than I have. It's just not something that normal people are used to seeing, and it's not their fault. These have been so demonized, if you will, by non-knife people and by governments and laws that it's really sad that when someone sees something that's not your basic grandpa's knife or a basic flip knife, they're going to get very scared of it. You know, you put the word gravity knife together and it's now terrifying. If you use any tool properly, it's going to be safe and fine for you. I mean, I cut myself on butter knife the other day. Really did. Honest story. So the spookiness to non-knife people, we have to include that. So, folks, it's that time again. Is this knife going to be carried proudly? Or are we going to be doing a 21 flipper salute and burying this knife in the backyard? Let's do a quick recap for you folks. One more time, because we love to get that, I don't know, that suspense up, right? Are they going to recommend this knife? I don't know. You'll find out. All right, number 1, action and sound for the needs. The presentation and packaging is lovely. The fit, finish, and we're going to call it fidget factor, is superb. Option City, colors, combos, all that great stuff, locking options, fantastic. The nails of this particular model, availability. This particular model, again, the lack of ambidextrousness. This particular model, again, the ergonomics are not very nice. And finally, on this model and almost any out the front or gravity knife, the spooky factor. It's just not a knife that you would hand someone at work unless, you know, they're a knife person. It's not something that you would hand someone who's 16 and wants to cut the fish off their line. It's just really not. It's, oh, I'm going to hand you this, but let me quick give you a tutorial, right? Let me quickly tell you what to do. It's just that simple. We're calling it spookiness. So when you know, you know. Yeah, it's a need. All right, you know us. We got to go with this one, and I thought that you would get this from the get-go, for those of you who know us. The one-handed operation of this guy, and I know it looks like it doesn't work very good under the cameras, but it really is. The being able to use any tool one-handed, to be able to take it out of your pocket, unlock it, open it with either a flick of the wrist or with getting the gravity to help you, it's always a positive to me when you have a superb one-handed operation. Use, put it away. You know, even I know with a lot of flipper knives, you've got to try to, you know, get the blade to come down without hurting your hand. This one, if you are doing this correctly, the blade is never going to be in your way. Never. It's just a very good one-handed operation. If it was good enough for actual paratroopers, it's good enough for us, right? For cutting boxes or whatever we're using our knives for. All right, so there you have it, EDC family. We are recommending the Reate EXO-M. Remember, there's other versions, okay? You don't have to get caught up in the semantics on this, right? If you want to take a peek at what Reate's got, please do so. Now, quick disclosure. Again, this knife was purchased by us. I believe it was E-Knives. I think it was $285 at the time. Don't know what they're going for right now, but I'm probably guessing if you can find them and you don't buy them from a knife pirate, they'll be around the same price unless they got some really wild inlays, I'm betting, okay? Now, this knife especially, but all knives that we review on our channel, you know, or any piece of gear that we have on our channel that we're using it at our own risk, on our own property, knowing our own rules and regulations. Remember, these are tools. They're not weapons. They're not items you should play with without knowing the consequences of bodily harm, legal issues that can arise from the carrying or even the purchasing of some of these things that we show you on our channel. Remember, most importantly, we're YouTubers. We're not lawyers. We're not lawmakers. You should never get legal advice from anyone that isn't a professional. All right, now seriously, to look into and to know more about your local knife laws, you can go to, and it doesn't hurt at all to support, the AKTI.org, folks. They are the American Knife and Tool Institute, and they are on the front lines, helping us keep our freedoms and our rights. Remember, as long as your hands and fingers aren't stuck in your candy bag or your grandma's pillowcase or carbonite, you should be able to find us online. Then you, our wonderful EDC family, can help us grow. You guys, we're not social media experts. We're trying to get better, and we can with your help. We've got wonderful, wonderful family members like Dane Grovlowski. God bless you, my brother. We love you. You help us so much. Answer questions when we can't get to them. I don't know what we'd do without you. I want you to know that. You are a dear, dear EDC family member, but you're also a dear friend of ours. And we love you. We hope your family's doing well, brother. And to all of you other subscribers, all of you other wonderful, wonderful EDC family members that are helping in the comments while we've kind of been hard to get a hold of, we love you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your patience with us. Don't forget, you can, right, carry us with you, huh? By clicking that subscribe button and turning on those notifications. It really helps. Also, you can, I don't know, hit that like button. I don't know. I know YouTubers say all kinds of things about the like button, but to be honest, we appreciate it if you take the time to do it. It really helps us want to deliver you more content. Now, again, with your help, we will be the most prepared family on YouTube and beyond. The one and only, the EDC family. So, Again, until next time, EDC family. My gosh, at the very end it does it. Oh, you got to be profit, camera. There we go. Keep those blades sharp, EDC family. Oh, keep those blades sharp. Keep those flashlights charged or with fresh batteries. Keep those pens with ink in them. All that good stuff. Keep that oil on hand. If you're like Prophet, keep those Band-Aids close, especially with the gravity knife, right? God bless you. We mean that. See you next time, EDC family. Be safe. If you're out trick-or-treating with your family, your children, check that candy, check all that stuff. We definitely want to be the most prepared family always. Have your flashlights charged with you. Have your awesome bags made. Whatever you need to carry with you on Halloween. Be safe. We love you. Take care.